Hi, everybody. So I have Z and Anya with me today. We're really excited because we're going to talk about all the craziness that's been going on, the timelines, the divide that seems to be happening right now between the timelines, and people are kind of deciding where they want to be. This feels like a really big shift. And just the energies between the masculine and feminine. Anya was really bringing that up, and I think that's really important. So, I just want to see how everybody is. So, how are you, Z?
I'm good because I just got back from a nice trip to the desert and did my own work, and I was really feeling into away from the people vibe for a period of time to do my own internal work. So I'm feeling great right now, but there's definitely a lot going on. There's a lot of intricacies with the energies that are out right now, and it can certainly be very confusing in understanding what that is and to the nervous system and trying to navigate all the places where we're at.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, before I go to Anya, how is the nervous system right now? Because it feels like it's almost done upgrading.
It's the nervous system from my experience and what I've been working with, it's learning how to communicate with these new frequencies. It's really learning how to intake that in and then ground it, embody it, and then what's the next platform that's coming in that it can work with. But it's still kind of in the like, I'm not sure how to communicate with it yet. I don't know. This is a new platform. None of us have experienced it with our bodies. So it's
Mhm.
trying to figure out that dynamic and working with it. Not quite stable yet for sure, but bit by bit, it's getting there.
Yeah. How about you, Anya? How's your nervous system?
Do you know what? It's actually a lot better than it used to be honest. I think I've really, when you feel like for a while that you don't know if the work's paying off, but then all of a sudden you get to a place and you're kind of like, oh yeah, I think I'm getting it a little bit. I think the nervous system, it takes time. We were actually talking about this tonight on my group because we've been doing a lot on the harmonization, like you say, and integration. And we've been working these past 2 weeks with the father and mother, divine father and mother energies. And we was working with that sense of one of the girls was like, oh, well, I've acknowledged it, but it's not gone away. And I was like, but the nervous system takes time. Like, think about how long that program has been running for protection, for safety. And for a long time, it was actually very necessary to protect us and keep us safe. And so we can't expect just because we've decided now that it's no longer serving us, which is absolutely right for us to do, that as nervous system's going to instantly have that awareness and activational upgrade as well. Like it has the acknowledgement, but with any sense of muscle memory, it takes time for that relearning process to go on and the knowing that it is safe to actually allow this reprogramming to take place by evidence-based experience. And so once you're showing your nervous system that it is a safe place, that you can reprogram this and this keeps happening on a repetitive basis, then the nervous system softens into, oh, okay, maybe this is true and I can reprogram this. So it does take time. And I think over that time I have really learned. And my little son, Fee, who's obviously 2, he the other day was getting really stressed and all of a sudden just started doing these big breaths. And I was laughing so much. And I thought, well, at least he's observing me regulating my nervous system when I'm stressed. Like I'm not afraid to show him, oh, I'm a little bit. I actually tell him, Mum's a little bit stressed right now. I just need to regulate and do me breathing. And he's obviously witnessed that and absorbed that. And so that I found that really reflective and really reassuring that I am doing a good job to work through regulating because we're all human in some ways and we're all experiencing dysregulation in different ways. And life with 2 under 2 is extremely testing for the nervous system. And I guess you just find extra techniques to regulate more so because you're having to regulate more so. So it's a bit of a loop, but I'm really finding my feet, which is a good thing.
Hmm. That's really good. Yeah. For me, I used to always bypass the nervous system and act
Yeah.
like I was fine and appear like I was fine, and my nervous system would be in freak out mode. So that has changed a lot. And it was finding one part of myself that was basically hiding and didn't want to regulate. And then also giving my body the right nutrients because I've really needed to have the full spectrum of magnesium and have potassium and all the minerals. And I think that's really common right now because all of our bodies are changing and shifting, and we need all those minerals. And the nervous system is electrical. So we need minerals to help with our electrical system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely
So,
agree with that.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's important. Like you say, it's the importance of you learn over time that it's mind, body, soul, spirit, whatever word you want to use there. I like my interpretation of that because it's covering all bases. Like you've got to detoxify, you've got to make the minerals and make sure you're having the right supplements for your body. You've got to work through the shadow, the emotional trauma, the baggage that we've stored down there and spiritually bypassed and things like that. And you've also got to look at what thought processes, programs, patterns, habits, routines that you've gone into consciously and how you can consciously break them. And that's the whole triad that's going on between the mind, body, soul. And for me, that's how you heal. It's not about doing one thing to gain healing. It's about having acknowledgement on a blockage, an issue, a wound, and then working with the mind, body, and soul to actually unravel the layers to find the root and work on, deprogramming that, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I have to admit it is like going back to that 2-year-old functioning for everybody in our bodies and reworking it from that point where we're looking at safety and understanding how our nervous system is gonna work. What does it look like? What do we need to do to regulate now? Because that's obviously different than it was before. And how do we now interpret the energies so that we can walk with our nervous system, eat the appropriate aspects or foods that we need to communicate the way that we really want to, that's empowering for us. And it is. I was gonna say, we're gonna go back to that 2-year-old for a second and walk like we're babies for a hot second, not bypassing the nervous system so that we can
Mm,
embody more of those energies that are coming in, which is why I feel like the mother, the father, the masculine and feminine are all in play right now because each one of those has its point in your nervous system. And it's going back to go, oh, that's what it was prior to this. That's obviously not going to work now because you're testing the nervous system to see, like, hey, that's what it looked like. We can be in safety with it now. That's definitely not what it is now. How do you want to create with that energy? And what would you like to embody with your own information, your own soul? How do you want to walk with it? So it's kind of a lovely little
yeah.
into life. We don't know
Mm.
yet, but we're doing it.
Yeah.
No, like you said, that's really beautiful. And also, like, don't you think, like we mentioned last time, the nervous system is almost challenging the human of like, well, is it safe though? And it's like creating situations of testing that safety and testing that situation to actually get validity on whether or not it is safe to let that pattern go. And I feel like my body's definitely noticed where I'm testing things a little bit more to actually see and assess if it is safe to drop that barrier or that program that I've been running that's no longer necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think also one way that the nervous system is being tested a tremendous amount right now is because we are separating in timelines, and the divide, the choice of I want to ascend in a little slower manner or a faster manner is creating a lot of triggering that's going on. And the triggering is there's everything that is keeping a person from going forward is showing up right now. And it triggers people around them sometimes, or sometimes you have to have that hard conversation that it's not working. And both things kind of trigger the nervous system a little more than we would like. And that's been going on a lot right now. And I just did a show about walk-ins and walkouts. And that's also important to realize that we are in an evolution, and that evolution sometimes requires a bigger being to come in. Or if you're choosing to go a little slower, sometimes it requires a slower being to come in or a younger being. So that the inner child can go at the pace that it wants to. And the inner child is the human part of us. So it's just been a really interesting evolution that's going on. And I think it's beautiful, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's always easy.
Yeah, no. I'm like, we're in an ever evolving situation right now. It's going to be a next layer of whatever it is to shift, and it doesn't mean it's going to be easy all the time. And right now, it's our nervous system is looking and testing at, okay, this timeline had the program. Can I drop it? Just like you were saying. What does that look like? And if I throw myself into it, what is it going to feel like? And do I have the full ability to just be like, absolutely not? Can I step away from this? Do I need to have an action point? Can I use my voice? Can I call on this type of help if I need it? Like it's really choosing its empowerment here and faceting that. It's really funny for me to like watch my system like work through all these little testers is like, nope, not doing that one, or I'm going to pull in this frequency and I'm going to ground it here. And I have the ability to do that now, whereas before I didn't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really relate to that, Z. It feels like when my nervous system is dysregulated, I used to shut down, go straight into defense, straight into protection mode, which would either be like fight or flight leave or a bit argumentative and defensive in that way, a bit conflictual. Whereas now, when I'm triggered in that way, I seem to be able to communicate it in real time. Like, listen, I'm feeling really shut down right now and really overwhelmed and really dysregulated. So I'm struggling to communicate right now in the level place. Can you just give me a bit of time? And that for me it's a new way of being able to express that vulnerability and to be able to express my inner self without having to first then regulate or go into defense and then come out of defense. It feels like now I'm able to actually real time communicate it, which is completely new for me. And it's adjusting to what that looks like. And I'm not always perfect at it, but I'm definitely gaining a new sense of like real time processing, which is a different and adjustable frequency that I've not experienced before, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good.
Different. I'm laughing because I'm thinking, I really hope anybody can't hear my dad singing. I've tried to turn my microphone down, but my dad's singing downstairs, so hopefully you can't hear it, but he's having a whole little rendition to himself downstairs. But
That's good.
I was
I like it.
bringing the joy in the timelines, but it does relate to what we were saying earlier. You know, the nervous system and the timelines are both correlated because the safer and more regulated we feel, the calmer and out of fight or flight we are, the more able we are to sit in joy, to sit in gratitude, to sit in understanding and expansion, and rather than shifting through that, you know, we'll have to work through the shadows. We have to work through the layers that we are faced with of them, that onion. But it's having the tools equipped to dealing with them layers now and having the regulation techniques to be able to deal with the wounds as we unravel it. So it's like we've now gained this little tool belt of skills and experiences and ways of knowing ourselves and knowing how to communicate with ourselves that we're able to deal with way more challenging, triggering situations, but they bother us far less because of the experiences that we've gained and the knowledge and skills that we've gained along the way.
Mm-hmm. I think the masculine and feminine are really coming into their own together now, too, just like you were saying. And it's mainly the masculine that's rising right now. And they're trying to figure out the masculine and feminine. How does that work? You know, how does that work together? And for me, it's been really beautiful to watch. And also, I'm adjusting things that I'm doing because I'm watching the masculine in my life grow like massively right now.
Yeah, there is massive shifts in the masculine energies, and me and Z have done a couple of videos on the navigations of this throughout this like process, and you know, as we were experiencing it real time. And I actually watched one back from a couple of weeks ago, and it was really interesting to watch the shifts even from there and how much it's expanded even from there. So, like you say, there's a huge awakening going on in the realms of feminine and masculine and father and mother wounds. And you know, when you really unpick it, we all have masculine and feminine energy, some more predominant than the other. So it doesn't really matter if you're in a masculine, feminine, you know, whatever the human experience is, we're all experiencing activations and shifts. But I've definitely noticed a rise in the men in terms of a more embodiment of themselves and a more embodiment of their whole self. and attempting to communicate, attempting to be more vulnerable. And it's almost like their systems are able to receive so much more of themselves now rather than like little bursts of it. It's like they're able to hold more of a consistent frequency. And obviously there is some masculines that have been doing that for a long time. I'm just talking in the overall collective and what I'm experiencing around me. But I definitely feel like for a long time, for like 6 weeks, I were really in my feminine energy of sitting with all different layers of what it means to be woman, vulnerable, the womb, the wounds there, the witch wound, the reclaiming the body and the sexual energy and all the trauma in that aspect. And then this embodiment of like this goddess vibrational energy that needed to rise out of the sacral chakra. And then that shifted into the divine mother energy and how is that present with me and how can I use that to mother my own self? And then it just naturally shifted into the masculine of like, where am I afraid to be vulnerable and communicating? Where am I afraid to hold space for myself and take accountability and, you know, create a safe, structured environment for me and all these different aspects. And it just like naturally kept shifting and yin and yang in and gave me a real sense of expansion for what we go through as a woman what I go through as a woman with a feminine energy, what women go through with a masculine energy, what men go through with the feminine energy, what men go through with a masculine energy. I was like, wow, this is so nuanced in terms of what every individual person will be experiencing more of will be based upon their soul and then their human experience. And then obviously what they've chosen to be surrounded by in that experience as well. And so there's like so many multifaceted aspects of breaking down actually who you are and what is a trauma response, what's a defense mechanism, and what actually is your true vibrational energy. Because I lived way in my masculine for about 10 years because I didn't feel safe, you know, and still flip there quite often. So that's a real thing I needed to sit with, is who actually am I in my true vibration without the need to feel like I have to protect myself.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'd have to say, like, the overarching for me running through all these is that I want to look at it from a whole picture. They're not separate from each other, right? They're harmonizing. I always say, like, you know, the mother, the father, the inner child, which can be very confusing to our nervous systems. And I've found, at least for myself, in interpreting the energies, I'm like, I'm gonna come from a whole being right now. All of you guys are interconnected. We're not separate from each other. We're learning how to dance. This is a brand new dance, right? We're gonna shake and bake. We're gonna fall on our face. Done it plenty of times. The shadows that are coming through that I see are because each one of these components that we're talking about, the inner child, the masculine, the feminine, the mother, the father, all have had their shadows in humanity, each one of them. So as it comes into an integration and the body's aligning with the soul aspect and it's communicating with the masculine, the feminine, it's got a shadow that it's looking at. And each one of those facets is going to have a shadow that it's looking at. And just like you said, Anya, for me, interpreting these energies, and I've been deep out into the woods just to take a look and get a feel for it. It's giving space to one or the other, the child, or all these aspects, and understanding where they've been, where they've come from. You're safe to express that now. Thank you for doing so. Please come in and harmonize. We're going to take a dance. We might not know what we're doing, but we do, right? That's what the body feels like. I don't know what we're doing, but the energies do know what they're doing. So it's the body's learning how to trust that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. That was really beautiful. I love it when we talk about that Akashic dance going on, because it really is. It's like a dance, because who actually knows what's going on? But we all kind of know what's going on. You know, it's like this little unspoken vibe. You know, it's there, and it really is. Going back to that analogy, is just following the music, because we have a little pathway up there. We have guidance. We have prompts. We have signs and everything. You know, how many times do we look outside and we see feathers and butterflies? And I seen a little today, a black ladybug with 2 red dots. And when I was Googling it, it means the alignment of yin and yang, feminine, masculine. I was like, woof, that makes perfect sense to everything I've been working through. So it really is just being open to witnessing what messages you're being shown from the universe, being open to receiving. When we talk about timelines, like I used to find it very difficult to comprehend what does that actually mean, being on different timelines to people that you like next to. I just couldn't comprehend what that looked like, what that meant. And lately I've got to experience it a little bit more in real time. So a couple of times I went, on a little caravan holiday with family, and I was walking around and seeing all these beautiful signs and messages, like birds. I always see beautiful blackbirds, and I'm thinking, oh, there's messages here. And I looked, and one of the caravans has got my son's name on it, Phoenix, and then it walked further down, the other one's got Sky's name on it. And I was like, oh, well, this is perfectly aligned. And I just thought, what a beautiful place to just come to this random caravan place and have their names on it. But I went there with four other family members, and not one of them noticed it. And I found that really interesting that we're all in the same group walking through the same place, but yet no one else notices it because it's just different timelines. And that's just small examples. And it's not about hierarchy or anything like that. It's just simply about what you're open to observing and what you're open to receiving from your experience. And again, today I was driving, and I was in the car with someone, and I was looking at this lady handing this woman back oranges she'd dropped. And they, at the same time, was watching someone throw newspapers up in the air and litter. And I was like, I was enjoying what I'd seen, and they was in frustration of what they'd seen, all at the same time, concurrently in the same car journey at the same moment. And it's like, wow, that really is how two timelines exist at the same exact time concurrently. And it just confirms to me that separating Earths is going to be concurrent for a little bit of time before we get to a shift of timelines completely. And that gives people their choice to actually choose through the fear and choose what their true vibration is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see it like I feel that they have separated and that we're basically now going on another journey of timeline separation. And that's basically how fast does somebody want to go through the ascension process? How much do they want to see at once?
Yeah.
And how much can they handle? There's a person who talks about learning how to handle abundance and really integrates it into their nervous system. So I've been doing that too with a lot of different things, integrating it into the nervous system first so that you can be in the vibration of attraction. And it's kind of like, how far out are you willing to go? What we used to consider weird, are you willing to get in order to expand? And I think that some of us are willing to go all the way very quickly, and some of us are taking our time, and there's no judgment about that. It's just about what's best for the human being that you're helping, that you're with, that you're a part of.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoy that perspective actually. It's quite beautiful because you can see that there is obviously the clear shift, but yet you can see the different experiences going on whilst being, together in that same time, and the different layers to it. I always say it's like layers of a cake. It feels like, maybe it's the same cake, but we're all maybe experiencing different toppings or different layers to it. And yeah, I suppose it's just navigating that and choosing what you consent to have in your own timeline, and what media you're exposed to, what energy you're exposed to, what perceptions you're allowing to be absorbed as your own, what conscious thoughts you're allowing to be creating your own reality, and just really being aware of how you're choosing to create your timeline and what that looks like, really. I think what you said about being open to receiving and open to receiving more abundance is so important, because the more abundance we can receive in both physical and energetic form, the more we can give and receive. And it's just an ever extending cycle, isn't it? So it's shifting into things being less limited and more overflowing and available. And that's the whole point, is not being in lack. And so it's a beautiful place to be shifting into, and just learning how to dance with these new frequencies and how they fit in with your human. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have to say, to kind of give it an overall golden nugget, it's how much are you willing to receive right now? Right?
Mm.
How much are you willing to let go of so you can receive more? That goes in all facets of joy, happiness, pleasure, even the deepest spaces. How much are you able to kind of go there? Because our souls are also learning as we're going how we can work with these facets of shadows and timelines and shift that in a new way. So I have to say, like, at least in my experience and what I have seen coming into me and even my clients, they're like, so this, this occurred. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
really? What are you gonna do with that? You're going to choose to work with it and understand that you can skill set these timelines, or do you want to choose out of it? It is all about that choice. And just like you guys are saying, like coming back into the choice of how do you want to play your game right now?
Hmm.
And can your nervous
Yeah.
system handle that in your physical body?
Yeah. I think that's really beautiful, and what you said about how much you're willing to let go of to receive more, because that is, in essence, that is shadow work. Like the more you sit with the unknown, the more you sit with the shoved down emotions that are blocking you from feeling worthy, feeling receptive, feeling able to be loved on deeper levels and able to receive things, beautiful things, and desire them things without guilt and shame. That all comes from sitting in the shadow and sitting with the darkness to then receive the light. So I think that was really beautiful what you said there, Z, about how much are you prepared to let go of to receive, because it really is about that. And I think for me, the easiest way to shift through this experience is to just be most authentically me. So, like Honey was saying, like, how much are you prepared to dive into the worlds? But I think it's really strange. I feel like I went from being so deep in the tarot cards and everything weird and wonderful, and now I guess I just kind of sit with me. And I guess not that I've gone any less weird, because breast's still weird. I'm always going to be weird. But in the best ways, it feels like I didn't need the external exploration as much more. Like I feel like I don't really research or watch anything, or I feel like I just kind of sit with me now more than I ever did, which is something different. And I guess that's my way of being most authentically me at this time, is to just sit with me and what I'm experiencing first, because I feel like anything else feels a little bit too much at this moment in time. And I'm just really honoring that rather than trying to be like spiritual, if that makes sense. Like I've kind of dropped the need to be anything other than who I am at that current moment. And I'm really leaning into music a lot at the moment too. So I'm just really being authentically me in that current energy and just going with that and seeing where that takes me at the moment.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I love
Yeah.
it.
That's where we are all like, it comes from the inside out. Everything
Yeah.
does. So that's a beautiful way to be working on yourself. Really, we don't need to look at anybody else
Yeah.
unless they're showing us something that we didn't want to see,
Yeah. And,
which
and
that
don't get me
also
wrong.
happens.
We need that. Don't get me wrong. It happened today. I've watched so much Dolores Cannon, yet I found one I'd not watched just randomly on my YouTube today, and it had such a poignant message about the new Earth split and the timelines, and it was so relevant to even this conversation. And I watched that this morning, so that was directly placed in alignment. I haven't watched anything like that for ages, and it was just there. And so, like you say, little golden nuggets are so important, and reminders, your reflections, reminders, is so crucial to our expansion, really. And Honey, you've always been a fantastic reflection. Mine is these videos every week. They're always a great reflection for me to actually sit with the energy. So I love being able to work and connect with people like you guys, that we can be authentically ourselves and just throw out these ideas and bounce them around and just see what comes up, because we might not always see it exactly the same, but we always have like respect and resonance for how we're all interpreting it. And I just think that's really beautiful in this world of exploration. We're all just navigating what feels right to us. And I think that's what anybody that's watching should do as well, is just find out what feels right to you, what words, what interpretation, what frequency. All of it is your journey and your experience. So find your translation and roll with that, because it'll find it much more easier to navigate than trying to make someone else's fit your energy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
Yep. I agree with that. And
Mhm.
also to kind of just bring it back in, we're all here to co-create. I love each and every one of you and all of you guys out there. as I'm not looking at you for anything but other than you're a puzzle piece to the whole picture and I want to play with y'all.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to come into this co-creative space where we can have community that we haven't had before, that we can interplay, we can work with all these facets of creation that we haven't had in our human bodies. So, really sit with yourself and open up some space for those around you that you do really want to connect with and what you would like to do with humanity.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I love that. I feel like that's a great place to stop. And I just want to say that all the links will be below because the series that Anya and Z have been doing is really good. And I think people are now like aware enough, like they're ready to receive it. It might have been a little bit ahead
It's very deep.
at first, and it's really deep, but I feel like people are ready to start going deeper right
Yeah.
now. And it's deep within ourselves, and it really helps to have tools for that, and that will
Mm.
be really beautiful. And also Z has a beautiful um, you know, course, I guess I'll call it. Is that what you would
Yeah,
call it?
you
A
could call it
game?
a course, a game, a playbook. Really, it's to help your nervous system be able to embrace and receive more wealth, abundance, and like knowledge of your soul. How would you like to create, So
Mhm.
it's a full nervous system reset into let's rebuild it. And as you're rebuilding your nervous system, it's a lot of fun in there. We get to also co-create, and it's opening you up for allowing you to co-create with others and do the projects and creations that you want to bring in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. I'm going through a whole revamp right now. So I'm available on email and social media platforms, but my websites and musical website, everything's getting redone. So I'm in the renovational processes right now. But yeah, I am available on social media and some emails. So I'll put them links below as well. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome. Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you guys. This was really beautiful.
no,
I
thank
really
you, honey.
appreciate
It's
it.
been great.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Okay. Love you guys. Bye.